Hello, thyroid schoolers. Let's chat about gluten and the tricky little things that look like gluten in our body without us realizing it. Let's go. Okay, first of all, let's talk about why we avoid gluten if you're new to the thyroid world. The reason we avoid gluten is because the gluten molecule looks very, very similar to our thyroid tissue. So in our immune system's frenzy to go after the gluten, it mistakenly identifies the thyroid tissue and goes after that as well. So it's mistaken identity, and it can cause major problems, particularly with antibody results. What many people don't realize about gluten is it takes 6 months to get it out of your body. So if you've removed gluten to improve your antibody results and you haven't given it a good 6 months before you get retested, it will still be in your body. And this is a horrible newsflash, but it takes only 1 crumb of gluten. So to continue that process and to start the process all over again. So we're talking, a crumb in the butter that, your kids have buttered their toast with and left crumbs in there. I always hate that. So a crumb in a toaster on a breadboard. That's how easy it is to pick up gluten in our life. And so with thyroid disease, we need to be particularly careful if we're struggling with the antibody stuff, with the antibody issues. Okay, so if you've given up gluten, you've been really diligent about it and you're still having problems, there is a group of foods that are considered cross-reactive. So they also behave like gluten in the body. It affects some people, it doesn't affect others. So if you're struggling with your antibodies, if you're struggling with feeling well, it may be worth removing these foods from your diet as a sort of a mini elimination diet for a few months and add them in one at a time to see which one could be affecting you. The other thing that happens is that when people go gluten-free, often we start seeing all the gluten-free products on the shelves. These gluten-free products are actually filled to the brim with these cross-reactive foods, all right? So we're suddenly eating all these things that we never ate before. So we are suddenly consuming fake sugars that we may not have had before, biscuits that we may not have eaten before, all these things because we're like, oh, it's gluten-free, and we get laser focused on the gluten and think that everything else is okay. It's a strange thing that goes on in our brains, right? And it goes on in the heads of people around us. My mother, great example. My mother went gluten-free quite a while back. She's had thyroid disease since she was 11. She would have friends who love her bringing biscuits around that she never ate before because they were gluten-free. Okay, so it's very easy for our friends and family to think that they're loving on you, and they are trying to love on you, but all of a sudden you're eating all these foods that you didn't eat before. Okay, one of the first cross-reactive foods is dairy. Now, a lot of thyroid people or patients know that dairy is right up there with gluten. Remove gluten, remove dairy. In the early days, it took me a while to figure out that dairy was actually giving me panic attacks. I thought it was the coffee. It was the dairy in the coffee. Okay, so it took me a while to figure that out. I can actually have dairy now because I don't consume a lot of it, but I removed it for many, many years. So my body readjusted, and because my thyroid health is so much better than it was back then, we're talking a decade or more, my body is adjusting and can cope with small amounts of it. But if you're having panic attacks or any mental health issues or anything else, or you just don't feel well after you've had dairy, it is a cross-reactive food. Try going without it, see how you feel. And so that dairy includes sour cream, butter, milk, ice cream. There is a lot of dairy products out there that people don't realize that they're dairy. Yogurt. A lot of people think yogurt, it's great. It's got probiotics in it. not only does it have probiotics, but it has the dairy, and often it has artificial sweeteners, which also can kill your thyroid. Okay, so cull the dairy. Okay, next one is corn. Corn is actually one of the top allergens. When you look at what are the top allergen lists on Google, there's, I think, 7. Corn is one of them. So it can react in all sorts of ways in your body. So even if you're having it fresh, you've grown it in your garden, try going without it. See how you feel when you add it back in a couple of months of not having it. Another cross-reactive food that is in a lot of our processed foods, right? I just did a video on processed foods. We need to remove that for our thyroid pathways health. So corn syrup, it's in everything. Okay, so corn is another cross-reactive food. Next one is millet. Now, millet is really only kind of popular in the plant-based eating world, along with some countries that grow it and live off it. But millet can also have cross-reactive properties to it. So if you are a high millet eater and you are struggling to reduce your antibodies, or you're still feeling horrible, try removing the millet, okay? Next one is oats. Oats are tricky because they're classed as a gluten. However, they have got a different gliadin molecule. I know that's a bit sciencey, sorry, but there's no other way to explain it, than wheat, rye, and barley, the other glutinous grains. So some people can eat oats with no problems and others cannot. However, again, if you are struggling to reduce your antibodies and you can't seem to make headway, and you have, I used to eat purple porridge every morning for breakfast, right? So, which is blueberries and oats and all the good things. So if you're struggling and you still think it's healthy, granola, all those things, try going without it, see how you feel. Okay, the next one is yeast. Yeast is in everything. If we are buying baked goods, breads, even if we're doing the healthy thing, brewer's yeast, nutritional yeast, it can all act like gluten in our bodies in some situations. Okay, so it doesn't matter how healthy you think it is and that you're fully plant-based and you're having the nutritional yeast to give you that cheesy flavor and it's got all that B12 in it. Yes, it does. However, like everything else on this list, if you're still having problems and everything else is perfect, or as perfect as you can make it right now for you, that is something to try removing. See how it affects you. It's always about how things affect you. What affects me will not affect you. What affects you may not affect me. Okay, this is about you finding out your own jigsaw with all these things. Okay, last one. And this is so hard, this one. Rice. Rice is a cross-reactive grain. How many of us are eating rice noodles, rice cookies, rice wraps, rice as our alternative to gluten? It's everywhere in everything. It's in all the processed foods. It's in all the gluten-free foods. It's in everything. Now, if it's behaving like a gluten in your body, you know, that's potentially why you gave up gluten and nothing changed. Okay, so that's the key here. If you've given up gluten and nothing's changed, you need to look at these items. So a quick roundup of what they are: dairy, corn, millet, yeast, and rice. Okay, so if you're having problems, try giving those up. Maybe try giving them all up together, and then in a couple of months, add them in one at a time and see what your results are. See how you feel. Feel your body, feel your mindset in so much as how are you feeling in the head. All right. Do you suddenly go from no depression and anxiety and panic attacks to you've reintroduced dairy and here we go again? Okay. So that's how you figure out for you, without doing fancy tests, without paying a fortune for allergy testing, which may not give you the answer. This is a simple way of doing it. Remove those things, come back to them one at a time. Okay. So that's it from me today. Remember, nobody is as interested in your health as you are. So you need to be the CEO of your thyroid business. And I will see you on the next video. See ya.